It's not very good.
I would definitely put it in the top 10.
So good.
It's kind of a mess.
A great work of cinema.
Train wreck.
Beyond a slasher, beyond a jump scare.
More thought has gone into the story.
Respecting the source material.
Extremely gory, extremely violent.
The lighting, the sets, the costuming.
Extremely scary.
Well staged, well shot, well acted.
I saw the comedy for what it is.
Relentless.
It was just really, really good.
This is pretty cool.
Another reason why I think it's
so good.
Silent Breed is people!
Hello and welcome out there in podcast and YouTube land. You've reached Johnny Has the Keys, a podcast and YouTube channel where two guys get together. We talk about movies, primarily science fiction and horror movies, but also some suspense, mystery, intrigue, and fantasy at times. We've been doing it for quite a few years now. We had always talked movies our entire lives and then decided, hey, why don't we expand on that and throw it out to the masses and see what they think. So we've started this podcast totally unscripted, two guys just throwing their opinions out, but primarily focused on key influences of the particular topic and then things that topic may have influenced going forward. My name is David. I'm here with my good friend Tim. Tim, welcome to Johnny. It's another day.
I've been fucking with you.
You have been? What have you been doing?
I was like doing an extreme close-up.
Oh, extreme close-up.
In honor of our subject matter today. But before we get there, we usually do an icebreaker. And I want to talk about a movie that's had a lot of people talking about it, especially back during the Oscars. And it is a movie called Sinners.
Oh, I still have not seen it. So
no,
but you can spoil stuff. It's okay.
I don't think it's up to me to do that. I think that's already been done by the general public. But
I've been avoiding reviews of it. I'll give me your thoughts.
I think he's an extremely talented director. I love Black Panther. I love the fact that he's rebooting the X-Files with a totally new cast and everything. I think that's great. This movie is a beautiful movie, and it deserves all the accolades it's receiving. But from a genre perspective, there's a couple of gaps in logic that I have a tough time with.
Okay.
And that's from a genre perspective.
And it's vampires.
It's vampires, and it is unapologetically a vampire film. Don't let anybody tell you differently.
Okay.
And they do use some common tropes or legends, what have you. And that's where I have some of the gaps that bother me is when they like break a rule that they set up. I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't work.
We've always said that you can create whatever rules, whatever world, whatever tools you want, as long as you stay true to them.
Yep. And I can't say enough good things about it. As far as the acting, Michael B. Jordan plays twins. He plays two parts in this.
Okay.
And they're the lead. There's a lot going on that's really cool. As I mentioned, the cast is fantastic. It's also got Miles Caton and Delroy Lindo as well. Synopsis is, it's a Southern Gothic horror film about twin brothers returning to the Jim Crow South in 1932 Mississippi, where their attempt to open a juke joint unearths a vampire infestation that serves as a metaphor for racism, cultural struggle, and the pursuit of freedom. So that's it in a nutshell. It's a period piece, which we like period pieces. We talk about how people don't like period pieces, so it's always nice to see one.
Unless they do Pride and Prejudice and everybody has to go hate watch it thing. So,
yeah, I can't do that. What else can I say? Oh, you mentioned that it was directed by Ryan Coogler, and I mentioned that he also did Black Panther, which is a fantastic movie. Brilliant. Yeah. Yep. And this movie gets 97% on Rotten Tomatoes with 427 reviews. I personally would take it down to an 85 or a 90. It's, like I said, very good, but don't fuck with my genre unless you're going to do it right.
Yeah, I'm a big stickler for me about vampires, so it'll be curious to see what I think.
Yeah, if I had to compare it to a movie that I thought was an overhyped vampire film that didn't live up to the potential I thought it could have had, it would be From Dusk Till Dawn.
Okay, yeah, I
Another
totally agree
great
with that.
director, not necessarily an Academy Award winner, but definitely a great director with Robert Rodriguez. And to me, it was, eh.
Yeah.
But Sinners deserves the place and the recognition it's got. I just wish it would have been perfect, and it's not perfect. So there we go.
Hopefully it's not another Twilight, so I'll be happy.
It's definitely not that. I wouldn't have
Okay.
stomached it if it was.
Probably not. No. I'm still in the literary world, so I have begun this quest of a brand new genre of book that I didn't even know existed called Lit RPG. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
And it's the Dungeon Crawler Carl one. A friend of mine turned me on to it and said, hey, if you're listening to audiobooks and you like Ray Porter, who is your favorite guy, and I went, yes, he's my favorite guy. I've listened to almost everything he's recorded now, but he said, you've got to listen to Dungeon Crawler Carl. And I said, why? And they said, let's put it this way. The guy that reads it, it's his own studio that he created. His name is Jeff Hayes, by the way. I looked him up. But there are people that call in regularly saying, who are the women who are doing this audiobook? And it's all him.
Mm-hmm.
His vocal strength is so good, you can't even tell the women, that it's him doing both females and males. And over, I think, the second book, so I've just started book 4. So I am deep into the world of Dungeon Crawler Carl and the humor of it and everything else. But I think the first book, there were almost 50 characters in it, and he voiced every one of them.
That's insane.
He's amazingly good, Tim, and it's a funny read. It's a cool read. It's very unique. Lit RPG is essentially literature that is based on game playing, like Dungeons and Dragons specific, but role playing games, and literature based on role playing games. This is a science fiction twist on a lit RPG because, in a nutshell, this guy, Carl, he's a 20-something gamer, blah, blah, blah. He is cat sitting for his ex-girlfriend. She has run away to Boca or somewhere like that with her new boyfriend, leaving him with her prize-winning Persian cat, who he kind of hates but also likes because they kind of lived together for over 2 years and all of that. Anyway, the cat jumps out the window late at night one night while he's gaming. He has to go get her. It's freezing cold outside, but he has to go get this award-winning cat. And he looks around and suddenly his apartment building essentially just crumbles to the ground, just pancakes. And he looks around and the rest of the city is pancaking as well. I think they're in Seattle or somewhere in the Northeast. But so basically every structure that's over 2 stories is gone. It's crushed into the ground. And suddenly he hears it's very Hitchhiker's Guide. He hears this voice say, citizens of Earth, you have now been conquered by the such and such, and we're going to do this. And so all of the survivors and humans you can stay on the planet if you want to try to survive, or you can use this door, and suddenly this door appears near him, and descend into the dungeon for Dungeon Crawler World, an intergalactic game show of huge proportions. He goes, okay, I don't know what the hell's going on. Anyway, goes downstairs, him and the cat. The cat now becomes sentient. She can talk and is a character. And he becomes Dungeon Crawler Carl, the lead character. And basically, yeah, it's this intergalactic game show. Running Man, and they all try to survive each level of this dungeon, trying to get to level 9. If they can get to level 9, something happens. But we don't know. And it's very intriguing. It's great world building. It's great characterizations. I highly recommend it. And
how long has this been around?
I think the first one came out, let me see.
Because it sounds to me like they're going to make a thing like this could easily be a series or something.
I think if they did it, it would be a great animated series. I don't think you could do this practically because there's so many fantastical elements. It would be either way too cheap or way too expensive.
Okay.
So it's written by a guy named Matt Dinniman, and he's a huge collaborator with his fans, his Patreons, and all of that stuff. This says that he began publishing Dungeon Crawler Carl in 2020. So it's six years old, and there are 7 novels currently, and he said there will be 10 is the goal, I think he said.
That's cool.
But incredible world building, especially to be this fantastical, and also to kind of help people who aren't RPG players understand you've got to get your charisma up. Oh, you can't roll that. You can't do that spell because you don't have enough strength to do it. But again, Hayes and his characters, his voices are phenomenal. They're really good. So it's Dungeon Crawler Carl and Princess Donut, which is the cat's name. Yeah.
That sounds familiar to me. I may have heard of this.
It's huge. And if you go into any bookstore, you see a display now for Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Yeah, they had a question on Jeopardy about lit RPG last night.
Oh, really? Ironic. Yeah.
Because they asked what RPG stands for, and I knew it.
Yeah. Well,
that's funny.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, so I did more science fiction, you did more horror, but today we're going to do horror border on...
What we're doing today is a horror movie that actually won the Academy Award for Best Picture. That's why I was talking about... Is it
still the only one? I think it is still the only horror movie.
Technically, this is being recorded before the Oscars air and will air after the Oscars air. And currently, Sinners is nominated. I don't know if it'll win or not.
Wow.
But that's why I covered Sinners, because there's not many horror movies that we see nominated for Best Picture. And the only one that ever won so far, unless Sinners wins, is Silence of the Lambs. And that is what we are covering today in our little redux.
There have been nominations. Like I remember, what was the one that Del Toro did? Shape of Water?
Shape of Water is more sci-fi.
I think it's sci-fi romance is what I call it.
It is.
I don't call it a horror movie. But
and it
Get
won.
Out, I think Get Out was nominated.
Get Out was nominated, but it did not win. There's been a few. I mentioned The Substance. I believe it was nominated, and it did not win. I have not seen it yet. Shape of Water did win, didn't it? But it's not a horror movie. I don't think it is. Yeah.
I totally agree. I think that's the closest, though. And Del Toro is pretty much known as a, quote, horror or fantasy director.
Well, see, I would call him fantastical. But he did do Frankenstein recently, which would be in horror. Actually, that's also considered science fiction to some, though. Anyway, back to the subject. This is a redux. We covered this in our very first season, and it was only audio. It was not a video, as some of you out there like, obviously, if you're watching us. And we wanted to revisit it. I cannot say enough great things about this movie. I will do a brief synopsis for those of you that have been living under a rock. Basically, it's based on the very popular novel by Thomas Harris called Silence of the Lambs. It is about fledgling cadet named Clarice Starling in the FBI who gets recruited by the behavioral sciences guy to help him with a current case that is going on with a guy named Buffalo Bill who skins his victims. But he wants to get in Buffalo Bill's head to solve the crime, and he thinks the best way he can do that is through a prior serial killer who is behind bars named Hannibal Lecter. Hannibal Lecter is a brilliant, insane doctor. They call him Dr. Lecter because he was a psychiatrist, right? Yeah. And Jack Crawford is the behavioral sciences guy, and he can't talk with Lecter. Lecter's not going to have anything to do with him. That's why Jack uses Clarice to, I don't know, not flirt with him, but to entice him, I guess would be the best word, because clearly she's an up-and-coming FBI, what do you call them? Cadets?
Yeah, she's a cadet who's going to become an agent. And
She's
most of
going to
this
become
movie,
an
she
agent, and she does by
poses
the end
as
of the
an
film.
agent.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Jack Crawford wisely uses her, although Hannibal does see through the ruse, he does end up liking Clarice and assisting her after a few little faux pas that happen along the way with incidental characters, including one Dr. Chilton, who has Hannibal imprisoned in the basement of this dungeon-looking type prison. and eventually she does end up foiling the killer Buffalo Bill, and Hannibal Lecter escapes in the midst of all this. And that's basically where the movie ends. It ends with her solving the case, but Hannibal still being on the loose. Where do we start, David? This movie is pretty much one of the best movies ever made.
Agreed. This movie is in my top 10 movies of all time, of my favorite movies. And I've seen it probably 24 times. I could watch it anytime. It's one of those movies where if you're just scrolling through and you come upon it, okay, that's what I'm watching now. I don't care where they are in the movie. I'm going to finish watching it.
To give people out there an idea, it is the only movie to win the top 5 Oscars except for 2 others, and that was It Happened One Night in 1934 and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in 1975.
Yeah, no movie has done it since.
No.
Yeah, well, I think I remember Parasite or something like that came close. They missed like 1. I think they took the 4 or 3. Anyway, yeah, this elevated the horror movie to Oscar status. I think Hitchcock had done it with the thrillers and suspense had been this subgenre. Yeah, the people like it, but it's not Oscar worthy. But he started getting nominations for Best Picture for some of his. But this is like we said, the only horror movie so far that we know of that won Best Oscar, and very well deserved. I first came across the whole property because I had read the original book. I read Red Dragon when it first came out and really liked it, Harris's novel. And then I read Silence, which was the sequel to it. Really enjoyed it too. Hannibal, the final trilogy book, the third book in the trilogy is okay, but I didn't like it as much. Nor did I like
a prequel after that, Hannibal Rising. Yeah,
Hannibal Rising, and that led to we'll talk about that with Keys and everything else. But yeah, there's nothing I would change about this movie, from the casting, the music, the cinematography, the costuming, plotting, everything. It is brilliantly put together.
Yeah, it's spot on.
And I even have in my notes, it's hard to totally place it. You can say it's a horror movie, and it overall is, because there's some very horrific things that happen. And with the music and the photography, it's obviously played for horror. But it's also a police procedural, it's gothic, it's a psychological thriller. It's a great film.
Yeah, it is. It was directed by someone that wasn't a horror movie director at all. His name's Jonathan Demme. He's no longer with us, but he had already started making progress in the genre, not in this genre, but as a director, and getting noticed with films like Stop Making Sense, which was a movie documentary, I think, of the Talking Heads tour. It was a concert film. I'm not sure if it was a documentary. And then he also did Philadelphia, which I think came subsequent to Silence. That was after Silence, yes. I'm pretty sure.
That's what he did after Silence.
But he definitely got on the map with this movie as far as awards, but I think he was already making some tread there with the Stop Making Sense movie. It's written by Ted Talley. Ted Talley has written other great adaptations of novels, including All the Pretty Horses, the Cormac McCarthy novel made into a movie with Matt Damon. And he also went back and did Red Dragon. We didn't mention it, but Red Dragon was filmed by Michael Mann.
And it was called Manhunter.
It was called Manhunter, and it didn't have any of these cast, and it didn't do well.
Yeah, Hannibal Lecter was portrayed by Brian
Cox.
In that, yeah.
Yeah. And I had considered pairing that with the original, with the remake Red Dragon. And so that may come in the future. We may do that as a double feature. I thought that would make a good double feature.
I think it'd be interesting because of the time frames when they were made, the popularity garnered by silence that led to them. Then, okay, let's do a remake of Red Dragon with Hopkins as Lecter and all of that. But it's not, I prefer Manhunter to Red Dragon, even though I love Anthony Hopkins in almost everything he does. And most people who follow us know that. But I did not think Red Dragon, the remake, was as good as Manhunter.
Okay. Because I can't remember either one of them that well. So I don't really have an opinion, honestly.
They fall into that Harris thing. Harris likes to have a lead who is our protagonist for the whole story, but then he wants two villains. He wants one villain that's the primary story and then Hannibal. So in the same setup for silence is in Red Dragon. You have a guy named Graham who is the lead in it, and he has to go to Hannibal to consult. This is when Hannibal's not in jail. Hannibal is
he's actually practicing.
He's practicing.
Yeah.
And then later on, he is in jail. So in Red Dragon, we have a flashback of because Graham is the person that arrests Hannibal Lecter, catches him, and is almost killed by him.
Yeah, he's stabbed pretty viciously. Yeah.
Yes. So then he ends up on another case with a guy named, I think it's
Dollarhide,
and who is a serial killer and is creepy and is all of the things that Harris does. And Graham goes to Hannibal to find out about Dollarhide. Same thing as Clarice going to Hannibal to find out about James Cumb.
Yeah, my theory is that Thomas Harris was like, Red Dragon's a great book. Why isn't it working as well? I know why, because I need a female to be the lead. That'll make it more. And I think that works not only in the book, I think it works in the movie as well. I think you really feel for Jodie Foster in this movie because...
Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Jonathan Demme sets it up so subtly, but yet so blatantly, where she's in the elevator and everybody in the elevator is a man and they're all taller than her, or she's at the autopsy and everybody in the room is a man and they're all cops and she's the only woman. He does that so well, and you just identify with her and think you root for her. You want her to be the great agent that she's got potential for.
And if you listen to the commentary on the Blu-ray, which is amazing and incredible, it has Demme, but it's early on Demme in a few places, but it's Anthony Hopkins. It's all the cast. So it's Anthony, it's Clarice, Jodie Foster, Scott Glenn, and it also has, it has a lot with Ted Talley. And he talks about developing it with Demme. And Demme said, this entire thing should be from Clarice's point of view. I'm going to show her very drastically. I want everything. I want the movie to start and end with her. I want it to be her point of view. And so he said he struggled with stuff. He said that's why he really loved Levine, the guy that plays Gumb.
Buffalo Bill.
Because he said on the page, there's very little dialogue. There's very little stuff for him. He said he came up with a lot of that. And he said, and I couldn't give him scenes and dialogue because it's supposed to be from Clarice's point of view. So I can't show a lot of stuff with him because Clarice doesn't know that stuff.
They don't have any scenes together until the end. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was really interesting. But like you said, it's all from the very beginning, it's her point of view. And Demme is such a cool director in allowing stuff to happen, like the whole opening of her on the obstacle course. In the novel, it's actually a scene that they stole and did later on, where they're doing a big break-in and a woman accidentally gets shot. It's a big, huge SWAT raid. And she's in it, and all of a sudden the guy busts out and says, okay, Starling, you're dead. Hey, what did you do wrong? Blah, blah, blah. And you realize, oh, you're in a training session at Quantico.
Yeah, they cut that because they said it was so cliche. It had been done to death.
Right. But when Jody went to Quantico to talk with them because they allowed the use of the facility and the campus and everything for the movie. She saw the obstacle course, and Demi thought, with Ted Talley, thought it was a great idea to start with her running. And we don't know if she's running from something, if she is the heroine who's being chased or whatever. And then Jonathan Demme in this interview says, but then you suddenly realize, oh no, she's getting ready. She's preparing to meet her destiny.
She's running towards destiny.
Yeah. Such a cool thought. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You said you watched the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Did you watch any of the deleted scenes?
Yeah, how about some of it?
Man, some of the stuff Hopkins did not make it is phenomenal.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So people have talked about it because he won the Oscar and everything else. And Hannibal Lecter immediately escalated to one of the greatest villains of all time, cinematically, and all of that. But they talk about, when I teach my acting classes stuff, talk about his micro expressions and his ability to make the choices he makes as an actor. And I think there's only 3 blinks in this entire movie. He rarely blinks at all. And that was a choice that he made. In the big scene in Memphis, him all wearing white, Hopkins talks about the fact that he asked Demme and the costume people to have all in white rubber shoes, white t-shirt, all that, because as a child, he was terrified of the dentist, and the dentist always wore all white pants, white shirt, everything. He said, I just wanted that subliminal fear to always be there. And I went, yeah,
also,
that's great.
blood shows up better on it too.
Yeah, there's that too.
As far as background, you mentioned Manhunter. That was produced by Dino De Laurentiis, who owned the rights. And when it flopped, he gave the rights to Orion Pictures for free. And this movie obviously did extremely well. So then he went on to co-produce Hannibal and Red Dragon down the road. So Dino's not out of there yet. He's a very familiar name to us in the horror movie world. Before I move on, we should talk scenes. But before we move on to scenes, I have one question I'm dying to ask you, and I don't think there's an answer to it.
Oh, wow.
But why are Jody's eyes brown on the poster?
I think that's coming from the original, because the poster that I've got, they're almost red. They're a very reddish brown.
But if there's one thing this movie is known for, it's intense close-ups of her face or Lecter's face or everybody's face. And she's got blue eyes and Lecter's got blue eyes. And that poster's got brown eyes.
I'm wondering I'm wondering if Clarice had brown eyes in the book.
I don't know.
But because I remember when I read the book, it was just the moths. There's like a spray of moths on the cover. That's what the paperback that I originally read. And then the movie came out, of course, and that poster is so great that
it's iconic now. Yeah.
All of the novel releases now. I don't know. Maybe somebody marketing said, ooh, give her red eyes.
I don't know. I Googled it this morning and all they said was that brown suggested fear or something. I'm like, really? I don't know that I buy that, but okay.
Yeah,
Scenes?
Oh my God.
Yeah, everyone.
Dude, like I normally say, the opening is great, but I think the next one for me would be the meeting. The
original meeting.
And not just, his part is incredible, but even before that, the first meeting with Chilton, where he comes off as such a smarmy douche, and then the whole descent into hell is what I call it, when they're going down the stairs and he's trying to tell everything about Lecter, and he ate a person's face off or whatever,
he did this.
and all of that. Yeah, when she leaned over, he did this to her, and we don't see it, but we see her reaction to it.
Yeah.
And then first meeting Barney, and the way that's done with this literal POV pan of people at the desk and people putting up firearms, and you end on this really nice black guy standing there going, hi, I'm Barney.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, the production design, which they went through several different iterations of, they talk about on the making of, but the production design of this Gothic prison feel with the stone walls and dripping, and you go to the end of it and now there's suddenly no more bars. It's this huge plexiglass wall.
Yeah.
And you're going, oh my God.
Yeah, that was all a built set. Most of this movie was filmed in Pittsburgh, except for the stuff at Quantico. But this was a set, and I think I mentioned this when we did this the first time around. I have actually been on that set. They took it apart and reassembled it at the Hollywood Museum in the old Max Factor building.
Really?
Yeah, and I was visiting with Dennis. We were visiting his friend Jim, and Jim had a roommate or a friend that worked there. And it was, I think they're closed on Mondays and Tuesdays, and they were closed. But he took us in and let us do that whole building, just the four of them. There may have been five of us. Anyway, so it was an incredible experience. We got to see the old makeup area where Lucille Ball and all that happened, all the Hollywood memorabilia, and then in the basement they've got this, and we got to walk down that hall and turn left and see that plexiglass cell, just like Clarice. Creepy as shit. But it was a really cool experience because he took us into a lot of rooms that were not available to the public as well, where they had like old lobby cards that were signed by like Judy Garland and shit like that too. It was crazy.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, that scene, the initial meeting, is a great scene. Wow. The scene where Jane Gum is struggling to get the couch into the van.
Yeah. The Ted Bundy
tricks
scene.
Catherine into helping him and then kidnapping her. And she's
the scene with her mother, Senator Martin or whatever. That's
I was going to say that leads to the scene with her mother, the senator. Yeah, where Hannibal gets a little bit carried away and she says, "Get this trash away from me," or whatever. And as she turns to go, he starts letting clues out.
Yeah.
And she
and then
stops.
he's with that, love the shoe.
Love the suit. Yeah.
Love the suit. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's in the DVD special features, and Tally said that was that whole scene is very short in the book and very short in his original screenplay. It was only like half a page, and Demi came to him and said, "I think if Hannibal Lecter had the total attention of a U.S. senator and she was a woman, he would torture the hell out of her." And so Tally wrote the scene for Demi, and it works so well. Oh my God, it is so good.
Yeah.
Nick?
Yeah, I had it in my head and now it's gone. Oh, the scene where he is in Nashville, is it? Where they have the big cage in the room? Memphis, right?
Memphis. Yeah.
And it's Hannibal's escape, for lack of better words. Here it is right here.
I think I divide that in my head into two scenes. The scene with Clarice is one scene to me. Her arriving, and there's just a bunch of men around and everything, and she's having to work her way through it without it being browbeaten. It's not, oh, she's a feminist, strong woman. It's no, she's actually Jodie plays her kind of weak sometimes, but she's determined. And she's going to overcome her fear. It's that thing of fighting through the fear that I think works for the character. But so I always divide it into the scene with her that ends with "Goodbye, Clarice," and him actually touching her for the first
he passes her the file, and there's going to be something in that file that
you can't wait.
Yeah, it's great.
Hey.
Oh, the escape is just unbelievable.
Oh my God.
First of all, you just see it coming, and
oh yeah,
you see it when he looks at the pen 3 scenes earlier in Chilton's office, and Chilton puts that pen down
on his bed.
You just see his eyes go to that pen, and that's all you need to see. And the next thing, he's spitting a piece of it out of his mouth, and he's picking his handcuffs, and one of the guys goes down to reach for the tray, and he just slaps the handcuff on him, slaps him to the bar, and it's like, fucked. You are so fucked.
Yeah.
And that's him hanging on the bars.
Yeah, he eviscerates him on the bars and rises him up like a butterfly. It's great.
Yeah. Incredible scene.
And then cuts the face off the other guy and puts it on. Yeah. And that's a great shot too, but when what I call the end of the chase, that ends with that one body falling out of the elevator, and you suddenly cut to the ambulance, and he sits up and pulls the face off, and he's got that smile and everything.
It's like the Joker in Batman.
Yeah.
Maniacal.
That's a great key. Yeah. But
and then
that's an excellent scene.
And you think, oh, it can't get any worse. And then you go to Clarice being in James Gunn's house, and they did the whole switcheroo where you think that Crawford is in the house and is going to find him, when she has stumbled upon it because she's just going to different people that knew the first victim. And she goes to the house, and he's living there. And he's down in the basement making a suit, and she's talking to him. She doesn't really realize anything right away. And he goes in to look for a card, and she sees one of the moths fly by and land on something, and she knows. And he knows she knows. And she pulls her gun, and he runs. And then you end up in the basement with Catherine calling her everything out of the blue because she's, I'm in a pit. Get me out, you fucking bitch. Don't you leave me.
Catherine,
and meanwhile,
why don't you stay right there? The other officers will be right here. We'll be right there. Yeah.
And then, of course, he has the night vision goggles, which I completely forgot were set up in the first scene with him. And it's when he's watching Catherine outside, and I forgot he had them then. But it made complete sense when he turns out the lights on Clarice in the basement and is stalking her with infrared glasses. And
again, another great scene, all done with POV.
Yeah.
All done. We never see the two of them in the same shot until the very end. It's mostly from each of their POVs. Yeah. Which is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great scene. We skipped over the autopsy scene. That's another, I think, well done scene. Lots of information, lots of memory play in it too, which works too. Character.
It's where we discover the moth thing, because they find the chrysalis in the girl's throat. And then, of course, they find one in Benjamin Raspail's head as well, his throat.
I think that Ted Talley did a really good job of combining and overlaying elements in this. I was going to say he takes credit for the scene where Crawford is doing the raid, Clarice is doing the investigation, and we think it's the same house, but it's not. It's two totally different cities. But the way he edits it, we think it's the same thing until we realize, no, it's not. Oh my God, Clarice is alone, and she's
alone
in the wrong.
With the killer.
Yeah. And that was an idea from Ted Talley, because in the book and in the original screenplay, it was two different scenes. It was the big raid, and then nothing happens. And then we cut to her interviewing the friend, finding out about the old lady, going to the old lady's house, which turns out to be James Gunn's house.
Well, and she sees that they were making a dress, and that's when she realizes he's making a suit. Because she sees the patterns on the dress are the same shape as the patterns that are cut out of the body that was autopsied.
Yeah, the darts in the back. Yeah. But he does the same thing with the funeral. When you've got this funeral going on, autopsy in one room, funeral in the other, and the funeral leads to a huge flashback with Clarice and her dad. And just enough of seeing a little bit of that history of her tied into, she has to stand up to, again, all these men in the room saying, thank you for bringing her this far. Now we'll take care of her. Y'all go on now. And plus the fact that she's terrified. This is her first autopsy ever.
And they're all putting Noxzema under their nose to keep from smelling it.
Scott Glenn's character doing the whole, okay, Starling, go ahead. What do you see? Tell me. He's so on. He sees so much potential in her. Yeah.
There's, like, we could say every scene, even the small scenes, like with the bug guys. The one that's cross-eyed or whatever, that she goes and talks to about what kind of moth this is. And
the scene with her roommate.
The lotion on the skin scene.
Oh, yeah. Everybody remembers that scene.
Yeah. Don't you hurt my dog.
Yeah. Right. Even the scene before that, when he's put the lotion in the basket, the one that comes after that. When she first sees, because the light goes up the rope as he pulls it out, she first sees all the other
The bloody
fingernails and scratches
fingerprints. Yeah.
and everything of other women trying
And
to get out.
fingernails. Yeah. That's
But
great.
Ted Levine is so good and creepy. It was really hard. There was a series that came out a few years ago where he's suddenly a police captain in it, and it was really hard for me to get him.
He's got arguably the best character there is in the Mayfair Witches. I wish that series was as better. I wish that series was as good as the books, because he got cast as Julian Mayfair, and Julian is like the main. He's not the main character, but he ends up being the star character of all those books. Anyway, we'll stop there because we could go on and on about scenes. I guess we might as well. I can also go on and on about cast. So,
oh my gosh,
I'll try to do it fast. We know Jodie Foster, of course, from Taxi Driver, The Accused. On our podcast, we know her from Contact. That's the last thing I think we covered with her in it.
Yeah.
And then on our side podcast over on Patreon, she was the voice of Betty in an X-Files episode called Never Again. It's the voice of a tattoo.
True.
She debuted as an actress in 1968 on Mayberry RFD, which was a sequel, if I'm not mistaken, to Andy Griffith.
I think so. That was the sequel series.
We didn't talk as much about development because I had it in the cast, but after Jodie read the book, she tried to buy the rights herself, but she was beat out by Gene Hackman, who wanted to make the film as well.
I think I remember you saying that in the last time we did this.
Yeah. She got the role. First of all, Gene Hackman ended up letting the rights slip because he never got it made. And she got the role of Clarice after Michelle Pfeiffer turned it down. And the reason Michelle was considered is because Jonathan Demme had directed Married to the Mob with Michelle in it. Michelle had first option on the script, and she read it, and it freaked her out. She's, it's too violent. I don't want to do it. So Jodie Foster came back into the picture. I've got that Michelle Pfeiffer turned it down because they wouldn't pay her $2 million, but I don't think that's the case. That's not the case that I saw on the Blu-ray where they were talking about it. So some of this stuff on IMDb is not always right. Meg Ryan turned it down also because of the subject matter. And Brooke Smith, who plays Catherine Martin, read for the part, but she didn't get it. She ended up getting the Catherine Martin part. Nicole Kidman read for this part. Other people considered Deborah Winger, Andy McDowell, Madeline Stowe, and Emma Thompson, all too old. All too old as far as I'm concerned. Maybe not Nicole Kidman. At the time, she might have been young enough to do it, but the rest of them are too old. Someone that was too young, or that was not too old, that would have been good, though, that was considered, is Laura Dern. I think she would have been a good choice as well. And we just talked about her in Blue Velvet a couple of weeks ago.
Blue Velvet.
Yeah. Anthony Hopkins plays Dr. Hannibal Lecter. Oh, my God. He's well known now. At the time, he was not well known. He's known now for Nixon. He played Alfred Hitchcock. We covered him on the podcast in a movie called Magic, which is the first thing I remember him from. But he goes way back to, what is that movie with Katharine Hepburn? Isn't he in that?
All About Eve?
No, that's Bette Davis. He's in one of those. It's not.
Shoot.
It's not Shakespearean, but it's a period piece.
Oh, Lion and Winter?
Yes. Isn't he in the Lion and Winter? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's the first time I ever saw him. Peter O'Toole, Anthony Hopkins, great cast. Oh, my God.
But so he had been around, but he was more of a stage actor.
Yeah, came from Shakespeare.
Oh, look, Lion and Winter. It's right there on my page. I wasn't even reading. He's now got 150 credits. I mentioned Gene Hackman. Oh, the reason Gene Hackman apparently decided not to do it is he saw a clip of himself in Mississippi Burning, which made him more uneasy about taking another violent role. I don't know. Other people consider.
I always tell people, if for Hopkins, if you think, oh my God, Hannibal Lecter, he's so great, blah blah blah, I go, okay, then look at Elephant Man. Because in Elephant Man, he's Treves. He's the sympathetic doctor guy, and he actually cries and he's sad, and there's nothing evil about him at all.
No, no. And in Magic, he's crazy,
Yeah.
but he's not evil. He's just playing multiple personalities, and it's just incredible to watch.
And he plays Van Helsing in Dracula, in Bram
Yeah.
Stoker's Dracula. He's always been, and
Yeah.
of course, as I've always touted, he is the reason to watch season 1 of Westworld. He is amazing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Other people considered for this part, speaking of Elephant Man, John Hurt, Christopher Lloyd, Dustin Hoffman, Patrick Stewart, Louis Gossett Jr., Robert Duvall, Jack Nicholson, Robert De Niro, Kenneth Branagh, who would have been good, Derek Jacobi, Daniel Day-Lewis, Morgan Freeman, Sean Connery, John Lithgow, who would have been good because he did it when they came around and did Dexter. He ended up playing a serial killer on Dexter that was excellent. And then all of those were considered, but Jeremy Irons was actually asked and turned it down.
I
I
can
could see that.
Yeah.
He's
I can see
very
Irons, I can
Michael
see
Anthony.
Lithgow.
He's very much Anthony Hopkins, not Michael Anthony Hopkins.
See that.
I've got tons of stuff on him. Sean Connery was Demi's first choice, but he turned it down. I can't see that.
No, I don't see him in being able to
Mm.
play the darkness that Hannibal has.
Nope. And then one of the biggies that was attached to it for a while and then let go was Robert Duvall, which I don't see either.
No, I could see Duvall as the Jack Crawford character. Easy.
Absolutely, but not the Hannibal Lecter character.
Not Lecter. Nope.
Apparently, the script landed in Tim Curry's hands at one time. That's
Okay.
interesting. I would like to see a version of that.
I'd like to see the audition. Yeah.
Yeah, he
That'd
says
be
he
interesting.
completely regrets not getting that part. Rod Steiger regularly told journalists that Anthony Hopkins stole his accent as Captain Gillespie from In the Heat of the Night for his performance as Hannibal Lecter. And you know what Anthony Hopkins said?
Total bullshit. No, what did
He
say?
said the voice is actually Truman Capote and Katharine Hepburn combined. In other words, he made it up. It's not stolen.
Yeah, I think Rod was listening to his tattoos or something.
Yeah, he was
That's
smoking
not-
something.
yeah.
Here's a funny side story. Martha Stewart and Sir Anthony Hopkins dated briefly during the production, and following the film's release, she ended that relationship because she could not divorce his performance from his person. I think that's hilarious. And overall, that we talked about, and this movie winning the top 5 Oscars, including him for Best Actor, he has only 15 minutes of screen time in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very
Every one of them
magnetic.
is memorable.
Yeah.
He also has the closing line because that's the I'm having a friend for dinner.
Mm.
Yeah, and that says a lot about the dynamic of him. On the DVD, there's a lot about them working together and how much they deeply respected each other and loved working with each other and loved challenging each other to find new things and new layers and new stuff. And Ted Talley has a wonderful bit where he's talking about Lecter in that he is sexually attracted to Clarice, but he's also much more so intellectually attracted to her. If she had not done certain things the way he wanted her to do it, he would not toy and play with her. He'd treat her like Chilton or something. And so there's a lot of attraction there that's there. And Jodie Foster said that she played the entire role like Clarice was being torn between two fathers, the Hannibal Lecter dark father and the Jack Crawford light good father. Yeah. Which I thought was interesting. The fact that they could explore all these layers, and it shows. That's how you get Best Acting Oscars, and that's how you get great movies.
Scott Glenn, speaking of Crawford, played Jack Crawford.
Yep.
We know him from Apocalypse Now, The Right Stuff, The Hunt for Red October. Other people considered for this role were Michael Keaton, Mickey Rourke. I don't see that at all.
No.
Kenneth Branagh. I see him more as Hannibal.
Yeah.
But one person that turned it down because he did not find the role interesting would have been really good. And it was Ed Harris. Speak of the right stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, he would have been very good. Ted Levine played James Gumb, also known as Buffalo Bill, the main serial killer in this movie. I don't know if he's the main one. I don't know how you would differentiate. He's the uncaptured one.
He's the one that is the initiating action and everything. He's the case.
He's the case. Exactly. We know him from Shutter Island, Heat, and I mentioned he plays Julian in the Mayfair Witches. However, did you know that he has been friends with Sam Shepard and William Peterson since their early theater collaborations in the 1970s?
No.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and William Peterson was in Manhunter, wasn't he?
Yeah, he played
I'm pretty sure. So that's another like weird connection to Thomas Harris and Silence of the Lambs. And Sam Shepard, of course, is no longer with us, but he's a great playwright.
Oh, yeah. And Levine is great. And this is a really hard role to play and got a lot of huge pushback after the movie was released.
Yeah. A lot of people in the trans community and the gay community were not happy with the portrayal, but I think they've since moved on from that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think both Levine and Demi were trying to treat him as a holistic character. They weren't trying to make aspersions on anything.
No, they were basically saying that he was psychologically damaged, and that's why he was refused a sex change operation or sexual reassignment surgery, as they call it these days. Yeah, and I think I made a point. I did not go back and listen to our original broadcast of this, but I think I actually say, yes, there are gay bad people too. Or there are trans bad people too.
Yeah.
Caitlyn Jenner, I'm not saying anything, but
you
anyway.
But yes.
So we won't dwell on that. I want to move on to Anthony Held. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Held. Who plays Dr. Chilton, Frederick Chilton, Dick Head.
Oh my God.
He is so good at playing such a prick. He went on to do it again in Red Dragon.
He and the guy who plays the prick in Ghostbusters. You know the one I'm talking about?
The one that Bill Murray says, yes, he is a dick or something.
Yeah, this man has no dick.
Has no dick, yeah. Stacy Keach. It's Stacy Keach, isn't it?
No, it's a different guy because he's also the same kind of character in Die Hard. He's the dick in Die Hard who wants to turn everything off.
That's a different actor. That's a different actor. I know who you're talking about. The one that sits down at her desk and is all, I think that's a different actor. But anyway, very similar though. He did Chilton so well, he went on to do it again in Red Dragon. He is residing in Ashland, Oregon right now and is a member of the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. And has been since the 90s. I think that's cool. That shows why he's so good at being a dick, because he's a Shakespearean actor. And I would imagine that him and Hopkins bonded on that as well.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. And the parallel actor is William Atherton. And yes, it's the same character in Ghostbusters and Die Hard. Not the same character, but...
Same actor. Okay, yeah. Heel.
Oh, but he's so great. He is so good.
Yeah. He was nominated for a Tony twice in the revival of Anything Goes in 1995. And then I don't know which role he played, but he was also nominated for Best Actor in Terrence McNally's Love, Valor, and Compassion, which I like a lot. That's a good show. So he's been around quite a while. Brooke Smith, I mentioned earlier, played Catherine Martin. She is still working. She does a lot of television, so you might see her out there. She gained 25 pounds to play this role because, she's
roomy.
Yeah.
In the hips.
Yeah, that's what Gumb's after. He's after big women, and so she gained the weight to play the part.
Because he's a big guy. He's trying to cover himself.
That's
He's
true.
A tall, big guy. That's the thing. It's not trying to fat shame or anything. It's that he needs larger material.
Diane Baker plays Senator Ruth Martin. She was in Marnie, the Alfred Hitchcock movie. I didn't realize that. She's also in The Cable Guy, the Jim Carrey movie. She played Margot Frank, the older sister of Anne Frank in Diary of Anne Frank, the Shelley Winters movie.
I
And
did not know that.
No, I did not either. And she was also in a movie that you like called Journey to the Center of the Earth in 1959.
Oh, yeah.
There are some other familiar faces in this movie because I guess Jonathan Demme has friends in the biz and he wanted to use them. One of them mainly is Roger Corman, who plays the FBI director, Hayden Burke. If I'm not mistaken, Jonathan Demme is a product of Roger Corman, just like Coppola and all those others, hired to do cheap movies in the 70s. I'm not sure what he directed, but I'm sure he did one for Corman. Chris Isaac plays one of the SWAT commanders.
Oh, yeah.
If you blink, you'll miss him, but he is there and has a line. And one that you'll really miss, and I think you missed this first time around, is George Romero is in this movie. He is in the scene where the agents are rushing into the Memphis cell to get Clarice and take her out. He is one of the guys tagging along, and it's
okay.
Yeah, just go back and look. It's definitely George Romero. So somehow he knew Jonathan Demme too. It's funny.
Well, and Charles Napier, who's great in this. He's great in everything. I love him as a character actor.
Is he the little autopsy guy? Because he's familiar too.
No, he is too, though. He's really good. I like him. No, he's the Lieutenant Boyle. He's the one that gets beaten by Lecter in the cell.
Oh, the one that gets strung up.
He's always got that strong jaw.
Yeah. I looked him up. He died about 10 years ago, like in 2011, maybe 15 years ago.
Tracy Walter is the one you're thinking of.
It looks like Ernest T. Bass or something. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, he's great. Lots of little character actors in this, but that's all I had as far as cast. As far as awards, this could take a minute. It was nominated for 7 Academy Awards. It won the top 5: picture, actor, actress, director, and screenplay. It was also nominated for sound and editing. To everyone's surprise, the reclusive author, Thomas Harris, who does not write books very often, sent all of the Oscar recipients a case of wine. As of 2025, it is, as I mentioned, only one of 3 movies to win top 5 Oscars, and those other 2 are Happened One Night and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I don't know yet about Sinners. It's so weird that we're filming this out of sequence, but the other ones that have been nominated are The Exorcist, Jaws, The Sixth Sense, Black Swan, Get Out, and The Substance.
Those are ones that were nominated.
Horror movies. Nominated
for best film? Okay.
For best picture. Right. And the only one that won was this, unless Sinners surprises us this year.
Okay.
BAFTAs, it won actor and actress. It was nominated for everything else. Saturns, it won best horror picture, best actor, writing, and makeup. It was also nominated for actors, directors, music, and costumes. It was selected by the Library of Congress for preservation in the National Film Registry in 2011 as being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. And there are scads of wins, more wins everywhere across the circuit, and it is on the 1001 movies you must see before you die list.
It should be.
As well, it should be.
Yeah. We haven't talked about music. Music in this is amazing and incredible. One of the best soundtracks ever, mostly because it's not horror music. It's very emotional. It's very orchestral sounding. It's very impactful. And that was
it's very Howard Shore. It sounds like The Dead Zone. We saw it a few weeks ago.
Yep. Same guy that did Lord of the Rings and was nominated for that, I think, as well. And just very good. And he said, it's because I did the music the same way Jonathan told me, which is from Clarice's point of view. And the music is inspired by Clarice, who is very emotional. And I went, that makes perfect sense.
She's worried about the lambs screaming.
Yeah. We talked about cinematography, I think, overall, but the use of close-ups. Several of the cast, like Cassie, and have talked about the challenge of that. Because literally you've got a camera lens like 4 feet in front of your face and you're having to act as opposed to doing the scene with the other person and the camera's over here on the side or around or whatever. And what a challenge that was because, and even critics at the time were talking about, Demme had some real balls to do most of this movie with these intense close-ups on huge 40, 50-foot screens in movie theaters, and you're able to like look up somebody's nostrils even.
Right. And I mentioned Howard Shore. He actually did not do The Dead Zone, but he does do a lot of Cronenberg.
Yes, he does do a lot of Cronenberg movies.
You mentioned the cinematographer, and I can't remember his name, but if I'm not mistaken, he worked with Demi on a lot of pictures too.
Yeah, he went on and did Philadelphia with him and several others.
I have one little trivia thing. When characters are talking to Jodie Foster, they usually talk directly to the camera because, like we said, there's a lot of intense close-ups of faces in this. But when she's talking to them, she's always looking slightly off camera. And Demi said that was done so the audience would directly experience her point of view and encourage the audience to more identify with her.
Yeah.
Oh, I had one more. The moth cocoon that's taken out of the girl's throat in the autopsy scene was made out of Tootsie Rolls and gummy bears so that it would be edible if swallowed.
Yep. The pupa that comes out.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's all I had as far as trivia. Did you have any?
I don't think I have, other than the trivia that I've been throwing out a little bit at a time. There's such great lines in this movie, too. I've got one of my favorites that reminded me of you. It's the second scene with Lecter and Clarice. And in between that, one of the other guys who does something disgusting to Clarice ends up choking on his own tongue and killing himself in his cell. And it's highly suggested that
Lecter talked him into it.
Talked him into it just by his voice, talked him into doing it. And then when they're back together again, Clarice has that line where she goes, "That's the kind of thing Miggs would say."
Not
and Lecter
anymore.
just looks at her and goes, "Not anymore." You just go, "Oh my God, that's so creepy and good." I love it.
This is one of those movies like The Color Purple and a lot of others where we had so many catchphrases that we used from
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Love the Suit is definitely one. The whole I ate his liver with some fava beans and a Chianti.
The good evening.
He said he could smell my cunt. I unfortunately, or what is it? He says, I cannot.
I cannot. And then he does the whole smell, Evian's, but you usually wear it, but you're not now.
Yeah, but not today.
Yeah. He's so good. Such good lines, such good character work.
Yeah.
No, I don't have any trivia. I guess we can go on to keys.
Okay. There's a ton.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can begin with my biggest one, really, is The X-Files. I don't think The X-Files would exist without this movie.
I completely agree.
And Scully is so much Clarice Starling, only the television version of her. But I honestly, I was watching Scott Glenn and the whole time thinking, he's just like Skinner. He's got almost the same expressions sometimes. There's just no Mulder.
I completely agree with that. I think also procedurals like Criminal Minds, you would not have had those without this movie being the success it was. And I've even got Seven. I think Seven was directly inspired by this, even down to the type of photography he shows to show the wandering camera through all of these horrible scenes, which is, to me, does really well. I was two shots that really got me. One starts with it's after the beating, and you're hearing the one guy crawl away, and it's this down overhead shot, intense close-up of the breakfast tray. And then you just keep panning, and you pan over, and you're seeing the knife, and you see the body of the cop. And then you pan up to the desk, and there's the recorder in Hannibal's hand, just listening to the music and directing. And we pan up to see him, and then we hear the guy screaming, and he goes over and picks up the knife and goes, "Coming, Officer Pembry," and walks out of the frame. And it's one shot, but it says so much. The same thing he does with Gum. He starts out with the moth and goes through his entire labyrinthine basement all the way to where he's sewing. It's just some really cool...
Doesn't it end on Catherine in the hole, too?
Yeah,
I
it
think.
ends with her on the hole, yeah. So such really good cinematography. Sorry to get distracted, but I think
Oh,
that
no, no.
led to Seven does that too. Fincher does that with all these pans of the obesity and all that. Or,
Yes, and I think every once in a while comes a very well-known serial killer movie, and I think Seven was the first to come after this.
that makes sense. Yeah.
And we're probably due for another one if we haven't had one.
I think we're taken over by the streaming now, like the Ed Gein series.
And that I have as a key, actually. I've got him listed as well as Bundy.
Thomas Harris has said that he based Lecter on Ed Gein, Ted Bundy, and also there was a third one who actually is the one that kept the women for days. I'll
Ed
see if I can look it up
Kemper.
in my notes. No, it was a different, it wasn't Kemper, because Kemper was a rage killer. He tore their heads off and killed them. It was a guy named Hednick, or Heidnick, Heidnick. He kept his women for days and tortured them and then killed them and got rid of the bodies. And it was in Pittsburgh. That was the one that originally started his thought process of creating Hannibal.
I have Ed Kemper served as inspiration for Buffalo Bill because he murdered his
Bill.
grandparents as a
Yes.
juvenile. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, we were talking about inspiration for Lecter with Ed Gein.
Yeah.
Also, another key really would be Psycho,
Oh, yeah.
because you've got a
Definitely.
mentally ill killer.
Hitchcock in general with a very POV structure in places that he's done.
As far as shooting, yeah.
That omniscient camera. I've got Francis Bacon because he's listed as an inspiration for a lot of the production design. So like the Gothic prison, the one cop being strung up and eviscerated and all of that.
It's supposed to be part like taken from a painting or something of his,
Yeah,
I think.
from
Yeah.
Bacon's paintings. Yeah.
I've got that Anthony, I got from IMDb, but that he said he saw Lecter as being like Hal in 2001, A Space Odyssey, in that he's a highly complex, highly intelligent, logical killing machine.
Makes sense. He's a shark. Yeah.
Yeah. And that Blu-ray that we were talking about, they keep mentioning that he's really a nice guy trapped in an insane mind.
Yeah, he's actually very gentle, very intelligent, and doing stuff like showing what he's reading and what he's drawing. He's drawing pictures of Clarice, but other things too, and his appreciation for music and food and all these things. Yeah.
And he almost becomes what Anne Rice does with the vampires, where he becomes a guy, like a killer that kills bad guys. They do it with Dexter too. Dexter's actually a good clue, a good key now that I think about it.
Yeah, you wouldn't have Dexter without Silence of the Lambs.
No,
I don't
no.
think so.
And that would probably be the next best serial killer thing since Seven too, now that I think about it. But he's courteous to Clarice. You don't get it as much as this in the movie as you do in the book, but he likes Barney a lot. He's courteous to Barney. He would never kill Barney. He would never kill Clarice. He only kills people that piss him off or that he doesn't like.
I think
like Chilton.
Yes, I think you find out, especially if you read Hannibal, that he has his own moral code of who he's killing, because he did kill a lot of his patients and did kill other people that were prominent. I think that he was caught by Graham in Red Dragon because he had killed a very corrupt symphony conductor and fed him to the mayor and all of the politicos in town at this huge dinner.
He always has an idea of what he wants to do as far as revenge. Which is
and
great.
they're usually pretty graphic.
Or very poetic.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Poetic is a better way of doing it.
Especially if you watch the series Hannibal, which is also a key now that I think about it.
Very big key with Mads Mikkelsen. Yeah. And in Hannibal, again, Harris has two villains. He has Hannibal, but he also has Verger, the guy that feeds people to pigs.
Pigs,
The guy
yeah.
that's He's all deformed, or he's been burned or cut or hurt.
He's
or
had
whatever.
like facial reconstruction surgery, but he looks really rough. Yeah.
And that's because Hannibal did that to him.
Yeah.
Because that's his vengeance thing, is he wants to get Hannibal, and he's using Clarice as a pawn. Yeah, in that one. But I've got, let's see, John Douglas and the behavioral sciences division in general.
That's definitely
that was
key.
a huge inspiration to Harris, and also he's the model for Jack Crawford. Jack Crawford is John Douglas, essentially, in this.
They show him a lot on the DVD as well.
Yes, yeah. I've got the mythic overtones too, the typical, this is a hero, happens to be a heroine. She has to go into the horrible forest and kill the monster and rescue the princess. If we want to go baseline story, that's what it is.
Are you talking about like Joseph Campbell, The Hero's Journey?
More the hero's journey, but that typical hero myth of you're the warrior, you've got to go into the horrible forest that's scary and terrifying, and you've got to kill the monster and rescue the princess. And that's what she's doing.
That's Mario.
Okay. Yeah, but we don't want to put Mario as the key for Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, Princess P and Bowser.
There you go.
That's funny. I don't think I have any other keys that I wrote down. They keep coming to me, though.
I've got one for you, Night of the Living Dead, because it's filmed in Pittsburgh.
Maybe that's why George Romero's in it.
Probably. Yeah,
because he just happened to be there.
Yeah.
And knew they were filming. I bet he was down there and said, hey, let me come in there and see what's going on. If I was Demi, I would say, yeah, bring him on.
Ted Talley said that one of his inspirations for Lecter was Moriarty, Sherlock Holmes's villain who's always chasing him, the criminal mastermind.
I did know that.
That's a big influence. And I've got maybe Saw. Would there be a Saw if there hadn't have been a Silence?
Oh, I think you're right.
Because Saw's a slasher body horror or torture porn, but with an intellect behind it.
But it's also got elements of Seven as well.
Yeah, so there's that. I've got Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, because Sergio Leone also dealt with all these close-ups. That movie
you're right.
Full of a lot of intense close-ups of people and their POVs looking around the Western.
Yeah. I don't know. It's got to be hard for an actor to do that, but man, yes. I love those close-ups. They are amazing. Their
Cassie
face is just right there.
In that DVD, Cassie mentions that the girl that plays Clarice's roommate and how hard it was for her, because this is one of her first movies, but the fact that Jodie was so good about standing literally right behind the camera. So she felt like she could be talking to her in the scenes, even though the camera's like right here in her face. Because some of them are not, like you said, a lot of the times her eye line is off center and not looking right at the lens. But there are times when she literally is Dr. Lecter, and she is just right there in your face.
Tell me what you know, Dr. Lecter.
Yeah. And then my last key I've got is I think this movie in general must have challenged and inspired a lot of actors and writers for decades. How do you make a better villain? How do you keep your characters sympathetic? How do you take risks as a director? I'm going to intercut two different scenes from two different locations and make it feel like it's one. There's so many things that elevate this above a normal movie and into that pantheon of great films that should be watched.
Yeah, I saw something the other day, and I can't think of what it was, where they pull the whole switcheroo at the end, where you think they're at one place and they're actually at another. It's like, when do you think Demi created that? Because I don't remember seeing it before then, but I've certainly seen it since.
No, I just remember on that interview, Talley saying, just put them together. What if we just overlapped them? And Demi going, yeah, I could do that. I can make that happen. So you good? That's what Tim and I think. We love this movie. We could talk about it probably for another hour, I'm sure.
Easily, and we've already gone a little bit over.
But we want to know what you guys think. Does this deserve the hype that we give it, that Hollywood gave it, that everybody has given it. What do you guys think of it? And all of its sequels, prequels, remakes, all of that kind of stuff. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think. We'd love to hear from you. And also, make sure to subscribe, ring the bell, do all those things that you need to do. If you could pop on Apple and give us a review, it always helps us get more out there and get more people learning about us. If you're new and or not new, but you like what you heard and want to see more, we've got an entire YouTube channel down there. Click through another title of a film you might want to see, or support us by going to Patreon, and we would love to have your support. We actually need it. It would be awesome because it keeps us maintained and running on software updates and everything else and subscriptions we have to do to keep the podcast going. We've got several free things on Patreon, but also a tiered environment where you can contribute to us and help us. Tim, where do we go next? We're going to My World, right?
We're doing a science fiction film, and it is actually also a redux as well. So we've covered
Another
it before.
redux.
Yeah, I don't know how we ended up with two near the end. Probably because they're both really good movies, and so we'll be doing that next week.
Yeah, because we're coming up on the end of the season, and then
only 3 more shows left.
Moving into season 8 or 9. Yeah,
9. Yeah.
All right, Tim. Until then, I will see you then.
All right, I'll talk to you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Start the car. Johnny has the keys.